And the G7 leaders on Wednesday held a virtual meet on the widening West Asia conflict. G7 comprises of the United States, Canada, Britain, France, Germany, Italy and Japan. In a statement, the leaders of the group of seven said that a diplomatic solution to the conflicts in West Asia is still possible. Italy is the current president of the G7, and the statement was released after Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni chaired a leaders' call to discuss the crisis. They expressed strong concern over escalation in the recent hours. It was reiterated that a region-wide conflict is in no one's interest and that a diplomatic solution is still possible. The leaders also reiterated their firm condemnation of Iran's attack on Israel. And my colleague Jessica Taneja now joins me from DD India's newsroom in Delhi for more on that. Jessica, let's look at the UN chief's statement. He was being criticized for not condemning the attack, and he clarified today that I had condemned the attack, and he said that I condemn it in the strongest terms. Will that soften the Israeli position and make any difference in how things are unfolding?
Well, the way things are at this moment, it doesn't seem so that Israel would perhaps even calm down when it comes to its reaction towards the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and his speech earlier, which somehow seemed to have calmed the tempers. But with the kind of recent escalation we've seen in West Asia, sidism has, of course, again creeped in. And with that in mind, it is somehow certainly difficult at this point for Israel to accept that the UN chief would certainly call for resistance and ceasefire, would talk about the Palestinians and their plight, but not so much so condemn quickly or instantly, as per the Israeli sentiment at this point, when 200 missiles, ballistic missiles, so to say, were fired from Iran towards the cities of Israel in Jerusalem and central Tel Aviv. So that hasn't pretty much settled well with Israel. But at this point, making him persona non grata in Israel somehow will seem to be put in context in the near future. But at the moment, Israel does not seem to be pleased with how the United Nations Secretary General has responded to the current and the recent escalation we're seeing or witnessing right now in West Asia.
Okay. The G7 in a virtual meeting condemned the attack, but they said that they need to see that how de-escalation can be brought about. The UN Security Council, Jessica, is also meeting as we speak. What could we expect there?
Well, the meetings are still ongoing. You've heard from various leaders talk about the fact that there has to be a ceasefire and immediate cessation of hostilities that we're witnessing at this point. While the meetings that we saw between the G7 leaders as well pretty much has been committing at this point to de-escalate tensions, to look for a possible ceasefire plan. And in fact, there was one ceasefire plan laid out for 21 days, which of course now is down in the dumps because of the recent escalation we've seen in the last 2 weeks. So that has of course not worked out, but potentially looking at how the hostilities can be reduced and how the region can be stabilized so that the global order is not disrupted in the way it would if this current escalation goes and spreads to a wider region.
Absolutely. We leave it there. Jessica Taneja, many thanks for joining us for the moment.